Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And as you probably gathered by the title of this broadcast, I'm dealing with two lots of feelings. One is high frustration, and the other is patience. And hi there, Jeannie. I see you there. And by the way, Jeannie, I've kept your card that you sent me. Um, I've kept it out, even though it was a birthday card, because there is no better way to start your day than to read those words. All right. So every day I actually read to myself, I'm wishing you a day filled with peace and relaxation. And then I say, thanks, Jeannie. Um, because I realize now that all my life I wanted to learn this art, I guess, but peace and relaxation starts and ends with us, right? If we let the outside world in, then we're no longer peaceful and we're no longer relaxed. And as you will hear, I have had some incredible lessons in um, testing whether I am capable of keeping my inner peace. Now, I know, hi there, Charlotte, good to see you. It's like I know that a lot of you know these things, but for those of you who don't, it's so easy to blame the outside world for our anger or our frustration or whatever. But the truth is, it's all about how we control ourselves. And whether, it's like I'm always talking to you about please find balance. Try not to hate one side or the other. Try and find balance, because otherwise, what you do is the world will always be at war, if you like, if we constantly hate one another. And so here's the good thing. You are now about to hear about my week, and I think you'll get a pretty fair idea about how frustrating it has been. And this is about this is about really could it do it worse, you know what I mean? And it's just like it's all the technology, all anyway, so quite the thing. But before we start that, let me just make sure that we've got the birthdays in there. We know that it is Jeannie's grandson Zephyr's birthday on the 24th, Jamie's birthday also on the 24th, and Kerry's on the 30th. So just so that you know that. And by the way, if you're a regular listener, either on the live or on the replay, and you've got a birthday coming up, please let me know, because it means that you're not on the database, all right, if I haven't mentioned you. You have heard me time and time again talk about the quote from my favorite monk, and he said, smile, breathe, and go slowly. And, I was doing a bit of research into that, and I saw that somebody um, actually expanded on it a little bit and said, as you go about your days, constantly remind yourself to smile. And the reason is because smiling relaxes you. All right, try that right now. Just smile. Whatever's going on, just smile. All right. And I think you will find that it has the most incredibly calming effect on you. All right. If you can consciously smile in adversity, you will relax a lot more quickly. And the second thing is to breathe, right? Get oxygen into your system and into your brain so you can think clearly. And so this is not just breathing through your mouth, this is breathing through your nose, and concentrate on that, and breathing into your belly. All right. So you literally go push the air into your belly and push your hands out. And then, by the way, exhale for longer than you inhale. And if you want to practice that, literally see how many breaths you can inhale for and then how many breaths you can exhale for. And that's all training. You'll be amazed that I found when I'm walking, I do that. I breathe in for so many steps and then I breathe out for so many steps. And, it's really good training. And that's why I believe, even though I had all those years of smoking, that's why I believe that I still have such great oxygen intake. And let me see if I can prove that. The amount of oxygen in my body. Dum, 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 dum. Just waiting for my watch to tell me how I'm doing. And of course, today it's going to take a little bit while just to work that out. Come on now. Be good to me. 98%. All right. Which for my age or my history is just incredible. And then the last one is go slowly. Don't rush into doing things. All right. I'm a great believer that take your time. All right. Have the patience to take your time to plan it to plan it properly and to have the action plan that you need. We rush into things and then we do it the wrong way. All right. To do the research, to do everything else. I know you're going to hear how frustrating this has been for me, but on the other hand, I'm just taking it very slowly. So one of the things that is said here is dial back your effort. All right, when you've got a situation that you want to have a little panic about, dial back your effort. In other words, just stop and breathe. Hi, Kanzi, good to see you. Breathe, take your time to make notes, and then do it in the right order. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start. By the way, I do have quotes for you. I did have quotes. There we go. And I hope that you will find some of these quotes amusing. It's about patience, but I tried to find funny ones about patience because you can understand there were moments this week where my patience was truly tested. And the first one I've got is, I'm a patient person, as long as I get my way in the end. That really amused me. So here we go. Let's do this. Some of you, I think, know that I've had Wi-Fi issues in my house here ever since I arrived here 4 years ago. So, and I've been complaining to the internet provider that, there's something wrong. And I'm not sure what it is, but there's something wrong. And it's been frustrating for me, but it hasn't been a major issue until I got my necklace. Right, I've got what I call a panic necklace, so that if I fall or something, I can press this and help will come. So the bad news about it is it's linked to my phone by Wi-Fi. So if I don't have good Wi-Fi and I press the button, they won't know that I've fallen. Get the idea? So Wi-Fi stops being a luxury. It starts being an essential part of my life, the need for it to be reliable. So I tried to explain that. And I think they sort of got it. And I said, I've been a client for 30 years and I'm trying very hard not to move away from you. But you guys are making it very difficult for me right now because I keep telling you about my problem and you don't seem to be able to fix it. So, and what I've learned, and by the way, if you are fairly adept at these things, I do recommend that you actually, when you get hold of the agent, all right, and the first thing you're going to do is get an AI robot that's going to look for keywords, all right? So I found that just typing in the word agent, regardless of what they ask me, just type in the word agent gets you where you need to go much faster than playing their game. Except I do let them know it's about an internet problem, for example, or a Wi-Fi problem here. So anyway, the next thing I've learned, and it's really important to do, is to stop a whole lot of wasted time. Oh, yeah, let me just tell you about this. Stop a whole lot of wasted time by having ready the things you've already done. Yes, I have already unplugged it and counted to 200 and then replugged it back in again. Yes, I have already rebooted the whole system. Yes, I have already so just, I have a list of things I've already done. Saves a lot of time. So anyway, I get on to the system. I managed to bypass the robot and get to a live person. Now, The new trick I've learned is before I play this game, I call it about being on ignore. Do any of you know what I mean? When you're waiting and waiting and waiting. Well, actually, I was on my laptop. But this time, what I decided to do was to actually, I did do a telephone call. That's great. And so what I did is I got on Billy the bike. I've got one of those under-desk bikes. I got on Billy the bike while I was making this telephone call because I reckoned that I would be able to occupy my mind a little bit by doing exercise while I was on ignore. So after a while, I managed to get hold of the human. And then the human says, give me a second to read through what you've already said. So I said, good. And no problem. So then they supposedly have read through what I've already said. And then they said, then somebody starts telling me, well, I might want to disconnect the modem. And I said, excuse me, did you read what I'd already said? Including that I've done that 3 times. What's after that? Could you skip that one and go down to the next one? Was I frustrated? Yes. By the way, question. Will frustration help fix the problem? That's what I want you to think about. Will being frustrated and snippy and being rude to that person help fix my problem? No. So what I've learned to do is to be a little bit amused by it. And I go, I knew you were going to ask me that question. So I not only unplugged it, I didn't count to 10, I counted to 50. And then I plugged it back in again. And then I knew you were going to say to me, da, 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 da. So I did that as well. Now, I may be old and doddery, but I think I've covered the basics. What do you think? All right. And by asking them the question, it gets them involved. And, guess what he said? Yep, you've done all the right things. So I said, thank you. So now we know we're starting from that place, not the original place. And so I was on the phone with this person for some time. And eventually he said, we need to send out an agent. And I said, that's really kind of you. Thank you. It's what I've been trying to get for some time. Anyways, long story short, Alan, the agent, came out Wednesday. I'm just trying to think what day it was. He came out Wednesday. And what a charming man he was. Really charming. And I've missed a bit of the story because the first thing that the internet provider did was to send me a new modem, brand new modem, and I installed it on Tuesday. But it was also the day that I was having real serious problems with the internet again, which is when I made the call. Okay, so now, when Alan the agent came, the first thing he said to me is, well, we need to upgrade your modem. And I said, wait a minute, help me. Can you imagine my frustration on that one? I said, help me with some logic here. And he said, okay, what's that? And I said, this brand new modem got installed yesterday. He said, it's not a new one. I said, really? By the way, the two looked exactly the same. And I said, really? Okay. So then I thought, don't argue about it, Sal. Arguing about it is not going to get the problem fixed. I don't really care what they do, just get it fixed, right? Kanzi's saying frustration by itself won't fix the problem, but I recently discovered that sometimes it can be good for an injection of bravery in the short term. Somebody said by somebody who is conflict avoidant. Yeah. So anyway, can you imagine? I just put the new thing in yesterday, for God's sake, right? So I take a deep breath and go, okay, Alan, whatever works for you, go right ahead. So he disconnects the modem I so carefully put in the day before, and then puts in his one, which we know has got to be the better one. Right? And then the good news is he then said, I brought with me a Wi-Fi extender pod. Now, I've got a house where all the sockets are hidden. You know what I mean? They're not in a straight line down my house. The only socket I have that is sort of in a direct line from where I'm standing, my modem is over here, by the way, um, is the one in my bedroom. So he tried to say we need a socket somewhere in between. I said, I don't think you're going to like where they are. So I showed him, and he didn't like where they were. So we agreed that the best place to put it was on the one in the bedroom. Very exciting, because once we were in the bedroom, I was able to discuss a problem that I've had with my television, which also is from the same provider. And my television in my bedroom goes all fuzzy on me. The audio goes fuzzy on me. And he said to me, does it happen on when you are on live television as opposed to streaming? I said, that's a very good question. So we tested it, and guess what? On live television, I have a clear signal. When I do the streaming one, it goes fuzzy. So he said, you need a new box. You've got a state-of-the-art box here, so you need a new TV box. In fact, you need two. One, both yours are old, like me. So I'm going, okay. So he said, after I've gone, get hold of them and order up two new TV boxes. Tell them I said that you need them. So I said, okay, fine. So I felt a little bit looked after. Do you know what I mean? I sort of started to exhale, and that was fine. So then I realized that once you change your modem, you've now got a different IP address. And what does that mean, everybody? What works with your IP address? Just about everything. So then, like, I already had a full week planned, all right? So then I cannot do very much until I've been through my whole house and changed the Wi-Fi settings on everything. In other words, my computers all needed to be reset up. My printers needed to be reset up. My tablet needed to be reset up. My phone needed to be reset up. How many of you can imagine the frustration? And I was doing really well. And then I suddenly remembered I forgot this computer. Rather important if I want to broadcast. So I rushed to fix this one. And for some reason, it would not connect with the new Wi-Fi. Was I frustrated? You bet. Will frustration fix my problem? No. So then what I did was the same thing, right? Powered everything down, disconnected the power lead, put it all back together again. Still wouldn't connect. So then I did a bit of research, and they said, actually, the thing to do is to take out that Wi-Fi, from your choices. So I nuked that, and I was a bit scared because I thought I might never get it back again. But the good news is I got it back again. And then eventually I obviously got it working because I'm talking to you. Whew. So then I go back to start my day. Okay, can any of you understand this? This was yesterday that I've got all these things that I'm doing. So now I start my day, and suddenly on my phone, I see the words, no internet. And I'm going, okay, I got a sense of humor, but this is ceasing to be funny now. And then I notice when I went to the washroom, I noticed that my little pod that they put in, that little extender thing, is blinking with a red light. So then I go to my computer and I check to see, and guess what? The pod isn't working. It's not communicating anymore. Smile. Breathe. And go slowly. Now, you all know what I was thinking. And it was not polite, and it contained a lot of very short words. So then I grabbed my phone and I grabbed my TV remote and my day timer and everything else, and I go to Billy the bike because I know I'm going to be on the phone a while. And guess what? I go through the whole problem, and you know, again, and eventually I got to the human, and then the human, I said to the human, okay, just before you ask me, know that I have already disconnected the pod out of the wall socket, put it back in again, and I have put it into 3 different sockets, and it's still not connecting. So he said, let me see. He said, it's showing not connected from my side. I said, yeah, I'm not surprised because it isn't. And I'm still breathing and smiling and trying not to shoot the messenger. And after about half an hour of pedaling, he said the magic words, I'm going to need to send out a technician. And I said, thank you. So I am going to have a technician come after the broadcast. And, is it frustrating that I've wasted nearly 3 days now on this issue? And I have things that I was meant to do on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that I haven't got to yet because of my time spent on trying to solve this problem. But, it is what it is, right? Remember, we always say that. So getting frustrated about the things I haven't done is not going to get them done. We agree? Patience and replanning and taking action on them will get them done. Getting frustrated and angry at the internet provider will not get them done. So I just know that it also means that it's going to take as long as it takes. So some things that I thought were urgent this week are going to be urgent for next week. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing how we just need to swap things around. And you see, we will always have time for the things we want to do, right? For example, I'm still doing the broadcast. That wasn't a maybe for me because I think this is a very important point that we need to discuss, all right? Because we all get frustrated. Jody says the fact that you were able to maintain your sense of humor speaks volumes. Well, actually, I must admit that the human that I got yesterday, he said to me, with all that's been going on, I'm amazed you're still so funny. And I go, it keeps me sane. And I do know that getting angry with you isn't going to fix the problem. I do know that getting you frustrated is not going to fix the problem. I know that just doing what needs to be done is going to fix the problem. And I said, the sad thing is that, whatever the techie did on Tuesday, or whenever he came Wednesday, the thing was that, the signal showed up to be excellent. So I have no idea why it dropped again. And I have no idea why it fried the pod. But apparently it didn't fry it. It still works. It still was flashing, but it just didn't connect. Do I know why? No. Do I care why? Not really. So do you understand that for a split second this week, I was so relieved that I felt safe about having my necklace and that I'd be able to get a signal. And then, of course, suddenly I haven't got that signal. But now I've got enough of a signal. It's back to where it was before they upgraded it. I think it's a bit better, actually. And so I started to exhale and go, it's just a pod, and they'll replace the pod, and hopefully that will work. I love the way they always say, try and put the pod without any walls in between. And I go, I have a house. The walls hold up my roof. It's like, how many of you know a house that doesn't have any walls in it? It's just like, come on, get real. So now I'm thinking maybe I need extender pods all the way through, even if they're not in the right places. And of course, I've got a very old house, and this is built in 1986. It doesn't have all the outlets. So I went on to Amazon. I've ordered up, more multi-plug type things to go in my sockets because, yeah, obviously I need to upgrade that system. So then I'm thinking, okay, I've done what I can, all right? Yeah, Jody's saying that she's also had that thing said to her about the walls, and she said, "Forgive me for having walls." Um, and I've got a pretty open plan house. In fact, I was quite surprised. If you look for the silver lining every now and then, it is surprising because I know the techie came in and he said, "You've got a beautiful place." So I said, "Thank you." And then he went to walk, he came from the front there and went to walk down the house. And he went, "Wow, this is way bigger than it looks from the outside." I thought that was a good thing. That must be a nice vista that he could see, all right? That he said that. So I thought, not altogether bad. So how many of you agree it is what it is, right? And today, hopefully, we'll get pods working again, in which case my necklace will be that much safer. So with that, can you understand? I started to exhale a bit. I'd done whatever I could. Now I could get back to doing the things that I was meant to do on Tuesday. Have you all got that sort of feeling about it? And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw my phone, which I had been working on, suddenly go black. And there was something about the way it did that I thought, what just happened to my phone? So I tapped it and did all the usual things. And guess what? And then I thought, okay, it must have run out of battery. So I connected it. All right, I do have to say to you that my mind got a little bit more frustrated. Another electronic thing going wrong. I started to wonder whether, Mercury was in retrograde, if any of you know what that's about. And I'm going, seriously? My watch died. My TVs are giving problems. And now my phone? Anyway, the sad news is that I did charge my phone all night and it still won't turn on. So I think the same thing that happened to my watch, the LED part gave out. I think the same thing has happened to my phone. So do we all understand that I probably need a new phone at this point? By the way, I've been able to connect it and see the files, folders in my phone, but my phone is so full I can't open them. So I'm praying that technical people will be able to draw those files off my phone and put it on a new one. But I'm also realistic enough to know it's possible they won't be able to. And what makes me so frustrated is I have got an SD card in there that is almost empty. And I've tried time and time again to put things so that they fill up the SD card, but they don't. They fill up the main phone. So I'm going to have a serious talk to about my next phone, about what goes onto the SD card as opposed to in the phone. Because if it's on the SD card, I can take it and put it in another phone. Here, I've got to download all that stuff. And I know what you're saying. It's all the photos and everything, but I clear those out. So I don't know what's taking up all the space. I really don't know what is taking up all the space. But I am going to find that and sort it. Is it frustrating? I started to panic a little bit. How many of you would want to drive anywhere today without a phone that works? All right, I'm thinking, how will I find how to go anywhere? Seriously, I rely on my phone. I'm certain those of you who drive, you rely on your phone a lot for how do I get from A to B in a hurry, or whatever. So now I've got a situation where You know, I haven't got a phone to do that. So then I'm thinking, I wonder if I can pick up a burner phone. You know, you always hear about that in the movies, right? No, he's got a burner phone. And I'm thinking, maybe I can get a burner phone to use while they're sorting out my other one. That's another question I have. Because do I know that they will not be able to transfer all this information in my phone in an hour? Yeah, it's going to take some time. And so to me, it's about, can they take my SIM card out and put it in a burner? I don't know. I'm going to find out. But here's the thing. I can't go today. Why? Because after the broadcast, you know who's coming. The TV guy and stroke Wi-Fi guy. He's coming. And then I can't go after he's gone because then the grocery guy is coming and he's coming somewhere between 4 and 10. And I'm going, And you know, with my luck, he will come at about 9. Smile, breathe, and go slowly. So I can do it tomorrow. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Ciora, who helps me with my garden and downsizing, canceled, bailed on me for Thursday this week and said, don't worry, I can come on Saturday. But that was the other thing, by the way, just so you understand. I've had to sort of get onto my computer and then warn people who text me a lot and stuff like that and said, don't try and phone me on my cell because it's not working. I had to contact the guy that's coming, the Wi-Fi guy. I had to contact the provider and say, tell him not to use my cell phone. My cell phone has just died. I mean, totally died. And then I had to phone the grocery people and say, tell them, to use my landline. By the way, it's one of the reasons I keep my landline. Tell them if they want to talk to me, they need to use my landline. So then I had to get hold of Ciora and say, Ciora, just in case you need to get hold of me, just know that my my cell has died. I am really frustrated because I am Jody, you will know about this. You know about that township thing that I play, all right? And it's like I can't get to them to tell them that I have gone offline and I can't get there to play. So I'm letting the team down because I can't get there to play my part. And I'm a major player in my league, and so therefore that's very sad. But it is what it is, and I will apologize when I get the ability to do that, because frustration will not fix this problem. Patience, planning, and action will. But in the meantime, I have a lot of frustration going on. You all appreciate that. So what I decided was to take another leaf out of Benji's book. And he taught me a long time ago something that he learned, which was whenever he's really angry or frustrated, he cleans. All right. In other words, he takes that energy and uses it for a good cause. And I said, okay, fine. What do I need to do? It was Thursday yesterday, and it was like, Ciora's not coming. And I'm going out, and I'm going to my nursery area on my deck where I've got all sorts of crud going on. And I'm going to spend time cleaning that up. And over the course of the day, in between everything else that was going on, I managed to totally downsize 2 huge totes. They were about this big, like this. Okay, and by about this deep. So I cleared them out. And so where there were originally 5 totes in that particular area, I now only have 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean those totes out, and then I'm going to pack the artwork that I need to downsize. I need to hack a lot of it, but the rest of it I want to put into the totes because they will keep in there. It'll keep them safe and clean. So And what I will do is I will clean them today so that I can put a note in them for Siora saying, if you get a chance, this is the artwork that needs to go in them. And please, put them in the shed because it's too heavy for me. So she will do that for me. That's part of what she does for me. So can you all see that this is like almost a nightmare? And I saw this quote and it said, patience is a virtue unless you're waiting for a pizza. How many of you can understand my fear about trying to drive without a phone? And so I do know that the sooner I get this fixed, the sooner I will feel safe. And literally that is what it is. I will feel safer once I've got my phone back again. And then I like this. It said, patience is not my strong suit, but waiting is my superpower. Yeah, I'm getting much better about waiting. I found things to do. I really do recommend that. If you're going on to a call that you know is going to waste a lot of your time, do something else at the same time. Clean windows, while you're on ignore. You can clean half the house in the time it takes. And by the way, have you noticed they answer a little bit of a question and then they go away to deal with somebody else and they come back again? I don't know about you, that drives me insane, but never mind. They pretend they've got to go and check something out, but they're really going to help somebody else. You know what I mean? I know that. And I thought this was nice. It said, patience is a flower that doesn't grow in everyone's garden. How many of you are also patience challenged? But hopefully you can see by this practical example that losing your patience is a bit like losing your compassion, losing your ability to see both sides of a problem. You see, the moment I let that anger control me, then, or that frustration control me, then I have lost control. Remember what Jeannie said, I'm wishing you a day filled with peace. And the person who controls my peace is standing right in front of you right now. So if I let anger or frustration or any of those negative things control my day, that is on me. Now, I'm laughing because Jody, our admin, typed here, I'm very challenged with patience. I tried to change, but it took too long. And I saw this quote and it said, I used to have patience, but it ran away with my sanity. And how about this? It said, patience is the art of concealing your impatience. And that's how I feel, right? I feel that I am concealing my impatience by being patient, but I've done it pretty well. I'm quite proud of myself. And I keep thinking that, all those years ago when I read that quote about smile, breathe, and go slowly, when I was just about to get sucked in, like, what do you mean you're just going to replace the modem that I just put a brand new one in yesterday? Can you see how I nearly got sucked into that argument? And I said, that doesn't make any logical sense to me. And he said, this one is newer. And I said, they're exactly the same. For God's sake. It's like it wasn't a different shape or a different whatever. It's just like, and I went, breathe, smile, breathe. I went, whatever. And backed away because logically it didn't make any sense, but do I care? I just want the thing fixed. And so it has been technically quite, and by the way, I did do lots of research about the phone. Jody made a point, which is sometimes taking out the battery and putting it back again, fixes those sort of problems. Except this is one of those modern ones. All right? Jeannie's saying, patience ran away with my sanity. She says she loves that. Yeah. But you know, these modern ones, it's a lot more difficult. They've made them so you actually need a techie to open it up and get there and do things. You know, it's not like the old days where you could pop out a battery and put it back in again. So I don't want to play with it. It's an expensive piece of technology. But now here's the thing. I wanted to ask you, how many of you buy your phones through your provider, and how many of you buy your phones from, you know, another source and then get the provider to, you know, hook it up? I've always had the provider do it because I reckon that stops them saying, well, we didn't supply the phone, therefore, you know, and that's, you know, I don't know about you. I try to cut out that a lot, quite honestly. Oh, by the way, some of you are probably wondering why I haven't changed internet providers. And the thing is, I am about to. You know, but I am giving my provider one last chance. And the reason I say that is because in January I need to sign another 2-year contract, or not. And I've said to them, you know, you basically have got until January to prove to me that you can fix this problem. Yeah. Jodie's saying she also buys her phone through the provider as well. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know about the rest of you. I quite honestly, you know, it's I always have done. I don't. I want to go back though to why I haven't changed provider. How many of you are loyal people? You know, always remember in the days when I was smoking, seeing some research when I was in the advertising business, seeing some research about the most difficult thing to do is to change brand loyalty. All right. So, for example, if you know, and I know that not many of us do this, but if you drive a Mercedes, you're a Mercedes person. You're not going to buy a BMW. All right. And you'd rather have a second-hand Mercedes than buy a BMW. So it's all about brand loyalty. Now, some of you are very big into Heinz tomato ketchup, and you would not dream of buying the no-name brand until you find out that maybe the no-name brand is the same ketchup uh, without the name on it. So you know you can only do that by the taste, and in a lot of cases that is true, right? That the no-name brand is actually the same thing as the very expensive brand name one. But I don't know whether you. I wouldn't dream of buying anything other than Heinz ketchup. It's who I am. Okay, I don't. I haven't found a no-name brand that tastes the same yet. If I find one that does, how many of you understand this? I will probably take the lid off my Heinz bottle, decant it into the Heinz bottle, and put the lid back on again. How many of you are smiling about that? You know, so because why? Because everybody I know is, you know, buys Heinz. You know, you'll cheap out on other things, but like your ketchup, no. You don't do that, right? And so I look at it and go, I'm a very loyal person. I've been with this provider for 30 years. Am I keen to swap them? No. Why? Because we all make mistakes, right? I understand that. And I understand that I may be in an area where the signal drops, right? I understand that too. So the fact that it drops now and then isn't my issue. Oh, by the way, I always have write all my notes for the broadcast, you know, on a program called Asana, ASANA. And it's just had an upgrade. And I've just found out the upgrade will not go onto my tablet. Obviously, it takes up too much space. And I've just been told, sorry, the new version is not compatible with your tablet. Another bit of technology in my way. Anyway, go back to the loyalty thing. I wonder how many of you have that in your DNA, all right? That you don't rush to write people off. You don't rush to change things if you don't need to. So I said to them, look, I think I've been pretty darn patient for 4 years. So here's the deal. Yeah, you have until January to get this fixed. Now, do we also all agree Think logically. Is there any guarantee that the next provider will do better? And the only thing I have to say about that is my neighbor next door here, 40 foot away, has the other provider. And I keep saying, does your internet keep dropping out? No. Does, I keep asking these questions. So I'm going, yep, it's pretty clear that I am going to be doing that. By the way, I have an executive meeting with Doug next month, and he had offered to change everything over to that new provider, have it on his plan, which means it would cost me a whole lot less. We like that. So I think what I'm going to do is when I have that executive meeting, I'm going to tell him the horror story and say, okay, whatever you need to do, you can do it now. The only thing is that, and if, what I will do is I will not upgrade the thing, because I know Doug is really busy all the way up until Christmas. Like every weekend he's got an event. So he won't be able to look at this until January, basically. So I'm going to say to him, when's the earliest you can get this under control? Or when's the earliest you can tell me how to help you do this? What can I do from my side? But we will see. And all I need to do is to smile, breathe, and go slowly, right? It's going to happen. Patience is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Unless, of course, you're waiting in line for the bathroom. And I have always said about that, I don't know about the rest of you, maybe it's just me, I think that my bladder is directly connected to my front door key. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I can do really good about not needing to go to the washroom until the moment I put the front door key in. And then suddenly it's an emergency. Do any of you relate to that? Why is that? And, I try to talk to myself out of it, but it's just like, not really. So here we've got this. On the one side, I am really quite frustrated. On the other side, I know frustration isn't going to fix it. I am really scared to drive without my phone. And the what if monster saying, what if you drive and you have an accident? You won't be able to, do anything. And I'm going, I can press my emergency. Actually, that's one of the good things about this, all right, is I can, if I have an accident, I can press it. And the GPS will locate my phone to tell them where I am. So here's the thing. My phone, even though I can't use it, all right, even though I can't use it, I still need to carry it with me because of that very issue. So that's another discussion I want to have with the provider. If they need to keep my phone, this will cease to activate. So therefore, this becomes an emergency. This is like, don't put it 65 places down the list. This is like, if something happens to me, I can't call for help. Therefore, I'm a little entitled. I know that's not fair. Patience is a two-way street. I'm happy to wait for the others as long as they're willing to wait to do the same for me. Agreed? I know you think you're entitled to go ahead of me, but seriously, right? My need is greater than yours. So I have the patience of a saint as long as I don't have to deal with devilish situations, which I've got right now. Right? Patience is the ability to keep your cool while somebody else is losing theirs. And by the way, I do know that when I go to change my phone, they're going to think I'm a stupid. Do you know what I mean, people? They'll see my gray hair and they will think I'm a stupid. And every now and then I stand in front of these young people and say, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I was dealing with this sort of technology 75 years ago. Um, and I was dealing with really this sort of technology when it first started about 50 years ago. And I have been through every transition from actually having to um, code my computer to get it to work. You had to know how to do code, right, originally. I said to having a smartphone, smartwatch, and everything else. I'm not stupid. I'm old. And I want you to understand that. So don't talk to me like I'm stupid, because I'm not. Some of you are going to like this quote. I have the patience of a saint, but the memory of a goldfish. So yeah, about the only thing I'm really scared of is driving my car and not having a cell phone. But the good news is I do know that everybody else has got one. Not like the old days. In the old days, you had to pray that somebody else had a cell phone. I will be one of the few people without one. That's a good thing. And I have had that happen. I don't know if I told you this story, but I remember one day I was trying to send a text and I needed to copy and paste something. And I'm going, it must be able to do that. I just don't know how to do it. And I was getting quite frustrated. And then I went, stop. And I stopped the first young person and I said, do you know how to use one of these? Yep. I said, show me how to cut and paste with it, please. And they went, sure, like that. I said, thank you very much. You did your good deed for the day. It's just like, when in doubt, ask a young person. Now, how about this one for a quote? For all you parents out there, patience is what parents have when there are witnesses around. And every now and then, I'll see a screaming baby in the I'll see a screaming baby in the supermarket, and I'll walk up and I'll look at it and I go, I hear you're frustrated. Do you know who I am? And they'll go, no. And I'll go, I'm watching you. Please behave. This is a supermarket. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had a mother go, because I'm scary. So, think about it, people. Think about it. Frustration is going to be there every day. And hi there, Jonas. Good to see you. Frustration is there every day. How we deal with it, how we mask it, how we counter it, how we do is our responsibility. Remember, the world is not set up to make you angry or frustrated or anything else. It just is what it is. And so I beg you to remember this lesson. Frustration does not fix a problem. Anger does not fix a problem. Hate does not stop wars. Hating everybody does not stop anything. We have to take a deep breath. We have to stop and smile and take a deep breath. And remember to go slowly. I applaud in my own sense, and I'm not really sure what's going on. I applaud that Israel has held back from going into that Hamas area as long as it has. I applaud them for that. All right, that they're ready to go, but they're doing everything that they can to not have to go. Give us those sausages and we're not coming in. I want to tell you that I am totally confused, as I'm certain all of you are, as to how do you possibly explain to both sides that that rocket was an accident, right? And that's what it looked like, right? That it exploded mid-air, and the fact it came down on top of a hospital, regardless of whose rocket it was, that was a malfunction. You cannot control a malfunction. Therefore, it was an accident. And by very virtue of that alone, you know, it's like nobody intended that to happen. Nobody, neither side. Doesn't matter if you believe, you know, the jihadists sent it or anybody else, right? It's just like nobody meant that to happen. And when you can see that balance, and don't hate people for an accident, because accidents do happen. It's what they call sad, very sad. And I'm certain I'd be very angry if I had anybody who was in that hospital. But I want to tell you right now, I still have not been able to reach my friend in Israel a week later. Will getting angry about that make it any better? No. I will just keep trying to go as many routes as I can to find somebody and hope that somebody I know has heard from her. So patience is not simply the ability to wait. It's how we behave while we're waiting, and whether or not somebody has snacks. And that is something that I don't want to take too lightly. There are times when maybe a really nice snack will calm you down. That's always my justification for having a Mars bar. And I would like to report, for those of you who follow my pre-diabetes story, as you know, back in 2019, I got diagnosed as being pre-diabetic. And my doctor decided not to put me on medication because he said, I know who you are. You got 3 months to get your eating under control. And if you can, I'm not going to need to put you on medication. And thanks to Jody, who taught me so much in those 3 months, I have managed to keep my, what they call A1C. That is where they test your blood and they can tell roughly how much sugar you've got running around in your body. Hang on a second. I just want to get this down. And what somebody described to me, and I thought it was so clever, they said, if you can imagine, okay, I'm not getting frustrated. I refuse to get frustrated. Sharpie, that's not a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, so if you could imagine you've got a warehouse, okay, in your body, and this warehouse, that's where your sugar goes, all right? Gets stored so it can come out in the right times and everything. But here's the problem. You had too many Mars bars, filled up the whole of the warehouse. Now, when the sugar tries to come in, sorry, no room at the end, you have to go and play around in my bloodstream until I'm ready for you. It's like a holding pattern of an airplane. Can you imagine that? All right, I'll let you know when you can come in. And what the A1C does, okay, is by some magical system, it actually gauges what that average was over the last 3 months. And the most amazing thing is that I've managed to keep mine somewhere between 5.8 and 6 since 2019. And I was pretty sure, because I've been eating some pretty beige colored food recently. I wasn't eating the rainbow for about a week. And I thought, well, maybe I should just delay doing my A1C for another week. And then I decided, no, it's not going to make that much difference. Let me go and deal with reality because I need to deal with reality. And the fun thing was I went and had it done. And then when I go to have it done, I can't have my blood taken from my right-hand side anymore because of, the mastectomy. And so this is like, I have to have it taken from my hand. The only thing is I have got veins that hate to have needles near them. So when my vein sees a needle, it disappears. And so before I can have my blood taken, I have to stick my hand into really hot water for quite a while. And then also I have to have somebody who knows what they're doing because you're not going to get a second chance. In the old days, you'd get a second chance with my other hand, but now they can't take it from here. So amazing, all right? And so guess what? I got Bridget. And Bridget ended up being somebody who dealt with me before. And she said, "Oh, I've dealt with you before." I said, "Is that a good thing?" She said, "Yeah, you've got such a great attitude." So I said, "Oh, thank you. Therefore, I like you." Isn't that true? And so it was really quite fun because, um, that relaxed me a lot. And then what she did, which I thought was really smart, she called one of the other people and she said, she said, "I just want to tell you, this is a great patient, but a really tricky veins. So once I've got that needle in, I don't want to be removing my hand." So the job of the other person was to uh, do whatever was necessary with the vials. And so that she didn't have, once she got that needle in, she could hold it there and make sure it didn't go anywhere other than where it was meant to be. And it was a teamwork thing. Uh, but the good news was it came in at 5.8. Yay! Jody's saying, "I'm so proud of yourself. You continue to put in the work and take amazing care of yourself. Your dedication to your step count is impressively inspiring." Jody, the reason that I concentrate on not making sure I do an average of 6,000 a day minimum is because if I don't, I will pay the price. I know that. My legs will pay the price. My organs will pay the price. The other thing is this watch tells me every hour that it's time to take water, and I do. And what I do is I take a complete, mouthful of water, swallow it, take a second one and swallow it. And I think that has been helping me as well. So part of my frustration, as you can imagine, is that I have not been able to do the things I need to do. Does that make sense to any of you? That perfectionist part of me goes, "But I had these things planned for this week." And I'm going, "Shh, it's okay. You will do the things you have to do because that's nature. And you will shuffle the rest of it." But now we're getting a bit close to Christmas. How many of you are beginning to get, a bit frustrated that you're not far enough ahead of the game for Christmas? And do we all agree that getting frustrated, angry, or whatever will not fix that problem? Just getting, making time, not finding it, making time to do the first steps of whatever needs to be done is the only thing that's going to cure it, right? Frustration will not fix that problem. Patience, planning, and action will. You have to do the work. If you don't do the work, the Christmas stuff will not get done until the very last moment when you'll be totally overwhelmed. But we've got Thanksgiving before that, you're telling me. For those of you who are in America. Right. But you know something? You can be working on Christmas before Thanksgiving. That's what I've discovered. And, I started to panic because I'm going, I haven't worked on Christmas cards and I haven't done this, stuff. I go, wait a minute. Duh. I worked on my Christmas cards for this year in January. That's how I spent my winter. So I've got my Christmas cards. And by the way, have I already got my database set up so I also have all the addresses and everything. Yeah, got those too. How many of you have that you keep your addresses for your Christmas cards on a database um, that you can just literally press a button and it will just, print out on a Avery type thing, all your labels. So I've been doing that over the last few years, just making sure that I can press a button rather than write all those envelopes, because I don't want to be doing that. Don't think it makes them go any faster. And so the trick now is I just need to sit down and pick the cards that I want. Oh, and that's the other thing I've started to do, people. Okay. I've started to keep notes because I make my own cards. I started 2 years ago to keep notes which cards I was sending to people. So even though I made this card 3 years ago, I know that Frida hasn't got this one yet. Why? I've been keeping notes, which ones I've been sending her. Smart, huh? And then, of course, there's Jody, and I have to always ask Jody, which card do you want this year? Because Jody is what can I say? A huge fan of my Christmas cards. All right. So it's just like, she always has particular requests because she's seen me make them and, wants them. So very important. So you understand, I've got to the point now where I'm going to need to stop and take a day to sort out Christmas cards, right? I'm going to give myself a day. Or, Jody, I know that you run into the same problem as I do, which is too many tasks. Right? You make lists of your lists. I have been working a new system recently, and that is I allow 1 hour a day in my daytime, 1 hour a day for each of the major segments, my home, my finances, my DearMamaSal stuff, my admin, whatever. Each gets an hour, all right? And I only allow myself to put one thing in that hour for each day. Jody, is that making sense? So basically what I'm saying is if it's 10 o'clock in the morning, I need to take my medication, need to tidy up my bathroom and my bedroom, and I need to do all right? Because that's what I do. However, at 11 o'clock, I need to have my second cup of coffee. And that's really important to me. But that's also my house time. So what's the most important thing I can do for my house? And that is tidy up. It's not clean everything. It is tidy up. Get the house tidy. So if somebody came in, right, I wouldn't be embarrassed, basically. And I have been doing that a lot. I literally have been clearing spaces in every room. And I'm amazed how far I've come. Then I'll get to the downsizing hour, all right? And it's called get a box out and start organizing it into sections. In other words, open the box, take everything out of it, and if all that stuff is sort of craft stuff and all this stuff here is sort of not quite sure whether I need to throw it away stuff, then put those into 3 different smaller boxes. Does this make sense? Keeping everything tidy. When I finish the hour, everything is still tidy, but I've taken that first step. And then I take the craft box, little box, not a litter box, a little box. And it may be one that I'm reusing, sort of like this. I might have a box like this that I'm reusing. And then I will take that to the craft room because it doesn't belong in any other room but the craft room. And so the next time I sit down to do craft stuff, I'll be emptying that out and putting things away in the right places. And I have found that works really well. And then I will say, okay, fine. Now the next thing is I need to do admin. If I only file one piece of paper, it's another piece of paper that's filed in that hour. Boy, I want to tell you, I get distracted a lot. How about you guys? And I get frustrated with myself about how distracted I get. And then I saw this quote, and it said, patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting and browsing social media. And quite honestly, the best thing this is about is I won't be playing games on it. I won't be wasting that time. So maybe this is about being unplugged for a while. And remember that we used to be able to drive places without our phones. And remember that we also used to be able to do things without instantly getting back to somebody. Yeah, Jody's saying about my one thing an hour. I want to tell you something, Jody. It really has made a difference to me. And all the rest of it, I've got a note of. It's all there, right? I've got a note of it, but just one thing an hour. All right. And Jody's saying, sounds logical. I'll be trying that and adjusting my schedule because I've been in a rut. Yeah. And you end up doing nothing. And I also work really hard to do all of them. I actually allow 8 hours and then I do eight things. All right. And most of the things I can do in 5 minutes. What I do the rest of the time is up to me. And what I try and do, though, is the things I know are lower down the list, get those in early so that I got the rest of the evening to do whatever I want. So there is the lesson for today. Okay. Frustration does not fix any problems, nor does anger or any of those other negative emotions, hate, jealousy, all those things. They don't fix problems, they create them. And understand the person that's coming in to try and fix my Wi-Fi is really trying to do that, trying to fix my Wi-Fi for me. So don't shoot the messenger. Getting angry at that person doesn't help anything. And have I got a plan B? Yep, you have until January to fix this. Come January, I will be switching providers, regardless of 30 years of loyalty. By the way, the fact that I had 30 years of loyalty meant that they gave me all this upgraded equipment, which is now supposedly state of the art, not state of the art, and are sending me new TV boxes, state of the art, not state of the art, which mine are, and not charging me anymore. So sometimes being loyal isn't a bad thing, right? But if it cannot get me the peace of mind I need, then I do need to change. And I will. And will that be a lot of frustration? Because will I need to go back and totally reprogram everything again? Yep. And will some things not want to be reprogrammed? Yep. And will I just have to take the time? Jody, by the way, thank you for your patience with me as I was trying to reprogram this computer and also with the issue about my phone. It was really great to have you to talk to. And Yvonne was wonderful as well. She kept coming up with other ideas. And, I'm very grateful. And, I had to give thanks that I might have lost the use of my phone, but I still have all the other technology. Does that make sense? Yeah, Jody is saying about the social media. Exactly right. The hour goes by and I've accomplished nothing, which feeds the frustration. Yep. So what I try to do is to, get as far down the list as I can in the first part of each hour. Yeah, if I can do two things on there, I do. Right? It's like, because I know what's going to happen. So being unplugged is my new lesson. And I was amazed how scary it feels, but only when I'm driving. And I'm thinking, with the exception of somebody making a telephone call to me, I should be able to pick everything else up on my computer. I don't think there's a way to pick up my messages on my computer. I'll have to check with the provider and see if that is possible. Can I get to my voicemail? Yeah, I can get to my voicemail with my phone. You know why? You know how I've got a landline and a phone, and when I got my mobile, they wanted to give me a separate voicemail for this. I said, absolutely stupid. I already have a voicemail. Route it to my home landline. No, no, we can't do that. I said, of course you can. It just asks you, where do you want this call to go? And you need to tell it. Don't open up a new box. Tell it to go to my box. And logically, I was like a broken record. And after about 5 minutes of my repeating myself, we know it is possible, just do it, please. They did. And so now I can get to my messages from my landline. Yay. So I also am smart enough to know that this will not take 1 hour to fix unless I'm very lucky. And that I may have to leave my phone and come back the next day to get the new one. We will see. This is DearMamaSal saying frustration is part of life. It doesn't fix problems, it creates them if you don't handle them well. The trick is, can you handle yourself well when you are frustrated? Jody, you have been doing a wonderful job on that. I know. Jeannie, I know how angry you've been this week, and well done for reaching out and venting. I'm very proud of you for that. All right. But also just understand that we cannot change the world. And we just have to pray for compassion and we pray for peace. And that is so important. And for all of you, remember that if whatever is hitting you from the outside is affecting you on the inside, that is on you. Your boundaries are not strong enough. Right? If somebody else's anger, somebody else's frustration, somebody else's lack of planning, whatever, affects you, then you have not got a strong enough shield up to protect yourself yet. And then remember what to say to yourself. I need to smile. I need to breathe. And no, this has nothing to do with me. This is their stuff, not mine. And then last of all, I need to go slowly. Not knee-jerk reactions. I need to go slowly. This is DearMamaSal saying, I hope this has been of value, and if it has, please give it a thumbs up. And in the meantime, thank you, Jody and Jeannie, for adminning here, and we will see you all on Sunday, where hopefully I will have better news, but maybe not. Bye-bye for now.